Thing around. Hello and welcome to the show. It's your boy Roberto here with another one. I'm happy that everybody is joining me on this Monday morning. Hope you guys are ready to kill it and get this thing going. I have to make sure that everybody can see my screen. So let me somebody hit me with a comment if you can see my screen, if you don't mind. Looks like things were doing good there. All right, cool. So today we're going to be talking about how to get interviewed on podcasts. And the way that we're going to be doing this is from my expertise and telling people what is good and how this goes down. Let me see if I can flip my screen around for you people on TikTok. Enhance, flip camera. There we go. A little ghetto, but whatever works, right? All right. So, how to get interviewed on podcasts and make money. That's the biggest thing that I want you guys to realize. Like, we're going to be talking about how to get interviewed and how to make money. So, the first things that you need to know is you need to basically learn how to tell your story. Okay. And I guess the first thing you need to know is who's your audience. You know, if you're a business professional, you don't necessarily want to be going on like gamer, podcasts or like sex talk podcasts, like find your fit, find where you're going to be going. That's going to make sense for you. So know your audience, and it doesn't have to necessarily just be in your niche, but you don't want it to go too far outside of your niche. Again, if you're like a business owner, you don't need to go on the Dungeons and Dragons podcast, unless you want to. Like, that sounds pretty fun, actually, now that I said that. But after you know your audience, like you have an idea of who your audience is, next thing you're going to do is you're going to want to figure out what your story is. What is your story? Who is your story? And what is it that's going to resonate with your audience? And why is it going to, make an impact, essentially? Okay, so make sure you resonate with your audience and that they have potential buying power. Because the main thing I'm going to teach you today is not only how to get interviewed on podcasts, but how to make money getting interviewed on podcasts. And also, if you have a podcast, it's a great way to monetize your podcast is to actually make people pay to come on your podcast once you get bigger. So podcast. That's what today's video is about. Anyways, the story is important. Okay, so you want to know your story. My story. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I've done all kinds of crazy business things and blah, 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 blah. Like, that's not very compelling. So you want to think about how can you make it better? How can you make your story have an impact? So when I tell my story, I say, look, I was in the Army. As soon as I got out of the Army, I had PTSD. I was an alcoholic. I had a family. I had a stepdaughter. And I had absolutely no skills other than being able to shoot people and drop guns, which didn't really resonate in my life. So I had to find a way to make an impact. And I wasn't really in the right mental state to work for other people. So I started my own business and I started tons of other businesses. Blah, 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 blah. It all just kind of goes on from there. It seems like we had more people watching on this thingy when it was my face. So what's up, people? Let's go back to that. But the story is important, and find some emotions. All right. People don't necessarily remember what you said, but they will remember the way that you made them feel. And that's a really key thing. So improve your story. And when it goes well, then practice it and repeat it. So like you're going to go on quite a few different podcasts and you're just going to practice saying your story. And whenever you say your story and you're like, damn, I nailed that at that time. That's when you're really going to practice it and repeat it. And you're going to try and listen to how you said it that one time. And another thing, like this just goes kind of deep once you start doing more podcasts, but remember moments when you're doing interviews and when you're doing podcasts, like, hey, I was saying this thing and the whole podcast was really exploding. And then I was saying this thing and everybody just kind of, the air left the room and nobody cared anymore. No one was listening. So you want to remember those kind of topics and those kind of interesting things. All right. So know your audience, figure out your story, and then understand what it is you want your audience to do. What's the next step in your funnel? What's the next thing that your audience is going to do so that you can make some money? Because again, I don't want you just going on podcasts and you could just go out there and talk to people. That's fine, but I'm a business coach. I'm not going to tell you just to go out there and talk to people. I'm going to go out there and talk to people, have amazing conversations, but also steer their audience members that resonate with you into your world, into your funnel, into your practices, so that they know, hey, look, this person right here, they are going to not only put me out there and promote my product and promote my story, but I'm also going to take some of their audience with me, and I'm going to keep building them on my platforms and building them in my audience. So that's a really important thing to do. So basically, know your audience, know your story, and know what the listener wants to do. All right. Next thing is going to make sure you have a good setup. All right. I hate that TikTok and people can see the little wooden thing above me. I hate it. So you got to make sure that you have a good lights, good mics, and good cameras, because there's nothing more annoying than wasting time, especially for people that are very active. And if you're going to get on these big podcasts, like they're busy business people. They're busy, making content, doing their business and everything else. And the absolute worst thing you could do is waste their time. So if you do a whole show and then you find out that your mic sounded like shit, that your camera was totally messed up, and they're just not going to want to work with you again, and they're not even going to promote the show. So please, before you go on these podcasts, make sure you have, a light, a mic, and a camera. Like, it's pretty simple. You can just get an iPhone. You can get those little earbuds. I don't know why Apple's like earbuds with the string and the little mic are like the best things ever, but they work pretty good. If you want to set up your own cheap studio, I recommend just getting a Blue Yeti mic. That's what I started with. And then just like one of these little $50 HD cameras, you can plug it into your USB and plug it into your computer. So that's the next step. Make sure you have a good setup. All right, now I want you to make I call it an I love me file. So it's basically your headshots. It's going to be your bio, and then whatever links you want to have in the show notes. Okay, so make sure you have good headshots. Headshots are just pictures of your face, pictures of your head, you in a suit, you looking fancy, doing something cool, whatever it is that you want. And you're giving these to the people that you're going to be on the podcast, and you're getting them organized, because otherwise they're going to have to hunt you down, or they're just going to steal some picture off your Facebook and you don't even know, what it is. Whereas this way, it's going to be concise, it's going to be together, and it's going to be able to basically nail it down. So you're going to be given headshots, bios, and links. All right. So put it together. All right. Have an I love me file is what I call it. And in the I love me file, it's just basically going to be, like I said, good pictures and like a short bio. So whenever you put out a podcast, I think they changed it now, but you used to only be able to put 500 characters. So if your bio was like more than 500 and you're not going to get any links, and I would never do it. I would just like take like the first sentence of people's bios and throw it in there. So if you can create a short bio that just says who you are, what you're up to, and then whatever your call to action is, whatever your link to the next step is, and then maybe a few little lists of talking points so that whoever you're going to be on the show with knows who you are. I think talking points are kind of boring. Like, I like to interview people and just kind of get a feeling of who they are. But talking points for people that are more organized than me is probably a really good way to do it. Okay, so headshots, bio, links, talking points, and then make sure that the call to action is there. Make it real compelling. All right, and then the next thing, now we're actually going to be talking about how to get into these podcasts. I'm going to flip this little screen around again. Hopefully people can hear me. Here, wait, actually, I want to just double check in case somebody's telling me that my mic is broken or something. Any comments? Anybody out there listening? Can you hear me? Everything? Can you see my screen? Everything good? To the one person on Twitch who's always watching. I love it. I was watching some show the other day, and he goes, it was a Midnight Gospel, and he says, "Oh, Henrique, my one subscriber, you are my everything and why I wake up in the morning. I do this for you." It kills me. All right. Anyways, so we're going to make a list of the top 100 to 200 podcasts that you want to be on. So you're going to get an Excel spreadsheet. You're going to go to iTunes and you're going to search for your niche. Okay. You're going to copy and paste the top 100 podcasts in your niche, whatever the links are, and whatever, like, the cool thing about if you're trying to get interviewed on podcasts is that they want you to, or they want to be contacted. They want you to get in touch with them because they want their fans to get in touch. They want people to contact them. So when you say, hey, I'm going to go on a podcast campaign and I'm just going to get interviewed on these different shows, it's pretty easy to get in contact with them. There's tons of them. Everybody and their grandma has a podcast. So you don't necessarily have to get too crazy, but you don't want to go on the crap podcast. You want to go on like the top 100 podcasts in your niche, whatever your niche is. So you're going to get an Excel spreadsheet and you're just basically going to copy down all of the podcasts that are in your niche. You're going to take their name. You're going to look if they have links to their social medias, and you're just going to make a list of 100 different niches. Then you're going to follow them on social media. So I say you're going to start stalking them on social media. You're going to check out their website. A lot of times, some of these smaller podcasts will literally have a link on their website that says, hey, do you want to be a guest? And you just fill out whatever the questions are, and then they'll get out to you. So that's a pretty good way to do it. And then you just start reaching out. So start sliding in the DMs. All right. So here are the 7 tips to get interviewed, or 7 tips to getting interviewed on top podcasts in your industry. Okay. Search for the top podcasts. We already talked about that. Research each individual podcast. Okay. So start following them, start networking with them, get active on social media, pitch the host, schedule the interview, prepare for your interview, and then give a great interview. And then end with a call to action. All right? A call to action is the whole reason we're doing this. So a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about is you have to have your funnel set up first. If your funnel isn't working, then you're not going to make any money going on these interviews. So the first thing before you do all this is make sure your funnel works, and then have a really clear call to action for your people. All right. And then a bonus tip is stay in contact with the host. Here, actually, I'm going to show you guys this real quick. This is kind of cool. And I'm super jealous that this guy does this, but it's kind of dope. So whenever I went on the show, I interviewed this guy. So it says Group Coach Nation. So shout out to that guy. And he put my little logo for my podcast on here, and it was pretty dope. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is a really cheap gift, and I use it every day though, because I'm an entrepreneur and I sit at my desk and I drink coffee. But staying in contact with these hosts is great. I stay in contact with I can't remember his goddamn podcast now, but the Nonprofit Architect. Shout out to that guy. So he's a U.S. Army veteran too. He's really fucking cool, and he sends me all kinds of guests to interview that are all veterans as well, and we just kind of support each other and we keep going. So those are like the big things that I want you guys to think about is stay in contact and keep going. So I'm going to flip this thing around. Look at me becoming a pro with this TikTok live shenanigans. All right. Anyways, though, so here are 4 websites that I recommend you check out if you want to just, they call them like, what are they called? All right. I called them like a podcast. What's it called? Where they drive you around? I can't think of the word. Anyways, they're going to basically take your information. They're going to go out there and they have like a whole bunch of virtual assistants, and they reach out to all these podcast people. So like my email is just full of people I could potentially interview. I'm not interviewing anybody at this exact moment, but I am going to start interviewing again soon. So Podcast Booker, Podcast Guests, I think is the best one. I think these other one, I think it's free too. But you can literally just go to Google and just type in how to get interviewed on podcasts. And then you'll have your headshots, your bio, your link. You'll know your story. You'll know what audience you want to go after. You go to these websites and don't do the paid ones. I mean, I'm sure if you pay, you'll probably maybe get some better ones. Concierge. That's the word I was looking for. Podcast concierge. So they'll help you find different ways to get on different podcasts. And I recommend reaching out to the ones that you like first. But I mean, if you're going to do a podcast campaign, do it. I think it'd be really powerful for anybody out there. Like even if you don't make any money, you'll learn so much. You'll connect with amazing people. So it's a great experience, but you want to experiment. I would first try and reach out to the podcast that you are truly interested in getting on. And then I would try reaching out individually and just basically, or not individually, but going to these different websites and applying, because there's, like I said, there's tons of podcasts. There's probably cool podcasts that you've never even heard of or don't know how to get in contact with. All right, here's some other ways. Once you have the list, make connections with them on LinkedIn. Hit them up, be a friend, listen to their podcasts, and go from there. Join Facebook groups. That's what I'm going to show you guys a little bit later. Get on Reddit. Reddit has tons of cool podcast people that are totally underground that actually have pretty big followings. And then do like a BuzzSumo keyword search for podcasts in your niche or other things like that. Okay, and then I'm going to show you guys what I do, which is my little secret because I'm lazy. And then this is just the final tip though. So you don't have to, like, let's say you just go and you reach out to tons of podcasts and you can't tell if their podcast is legit or not. Well, go and check out their reviews. Okay, if they have a bunch of crappy reviews, listen to a few of their episodes, check out their YouTube channel. If they don't have a website, that's kind of a dead giveaway that they kind of suck. If they only have an Anchor podcast, that's another kind of giveaway that they might not have a huge following. Okay, so that was basically the little slideshow. But now I'm going to show you. Oh yeah, and if you're reaching out to a whole bunch of podcasts and you're just not landing anything, it's probably because your pitch sucks. Okay, so by this point, you should have at least 30 to 50 options to prospect for podcasts. Now it's time to work on your pitch. So you just kind of want to tell people, like, in a really short sentence, why it is you should be on their podcast. You can, like, for me, I'm an Army veteran. I help businesses grow. I'll teach your people how to make some money. Blah 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 blah. And I can talk about marketing and sales, life, meditation, all kinds of crazy shit. Army times, blah blah blah. So just craft your pitch, and that should definitely be a great way for you to get your foot in the door and build a lot of relations. All right. So I think that was pretty sweet. Now I just kind of want to show you guys real quick what I do. So this is what I do when I'm lazy and I don't feel like just reaching out to 100 different podcasts, and I still just want to start getting my foot in the door and I want to get interviewed. So you just literally go to Facebook. So let's just type in podcast. You go to groups. Okay, so I'm in all these groups, and I would literally just write up a really short thing about me that just says, hey, my name is this. I talk about these topics. I'm really looking to get interviewed on a bunch of podcasts. Let's connect. And your inbox is going to get blown up by like a bunch of, VAs and weirdos and people from all over the world. But you just filter through those and you find the legit podcasts. So like I said, check their reviews, check their, but yeah, you see how many, there's one of these groups is huge too. 18,000 people, 17,000 people, 36,000 people, 30,000 people, 35,000 people, 15,000 people. There's a lot of people in these groups, and they all have a cool podcast. So most of them do. And you can promote your podcast even, and so on and so forth. So I literally would write something up and I would just copy and paste it in all of these groups and just blast away. And again, before you don't, like, even if you do get approved, like, you got to schedule the time. And if they don't have a calendar to schedule you, that's also kind of a red flag. My biggest thing is I hate getting set up to do a podcast, and then, like, if the host doesn't show up or if something stupid happens, like, I will lose my shit because I'll be drinking coffee. Like, my time is important to me. So I don't want you guys to waste any time doing this. I just want you guys to get successful and get on some podcasts. All right. Well, I hope that was helpful. That was pretty much the show today. All right. Everybody out there, hope you're having a good time. I'm going to flip this little bad boy around. Hit me up in the DMs if you guys have any questions. Happy to get you on some interviews. If you guys listen to my podcast, it's The Lyon Show. Lyon spelled Lyon. Been going at it for 3 years. I love doing it. I am going to be doing some interviews pretty soon, so feel free to hit me up. I'd be happy to interview. Right now, we're real focused on talking about money, talking about business, talking about sales, marketing, entrepreneurship, and anything else. If you have a good message, mindset. I'd like to talk to some mindset coaches out there. Actually, that's a big one that I'd like to do some interviews on. So holler at me and hit me up. Somebody sent me some roses on TikTok. Appreciate you. I don't know what that means, but that's awesome. Boom. I think that's today's show. I hope you guys have a good one. Actually, I'm just going to give you guys a few more pro tips that I think are really important. So you're not going to be great your first couple interviews. So feel free to go through a few interviews with some, we'll call them B podcasts, right? We'll call them B podcasts. So just do the interviews though. Get out there, tell your story, find what resonates with people, see what happens. And again, make sure your funnel is connecting. So like, let's say you're going to go on all these different podcasts. Have one call to action, one thing that clearly tells your people, and give them something free, or give your podcaster an affiliate code. That's a really great way. So like if you can make a course or give them a commission off of anybody that comes through them, they're going to be more likely to promote the crap out of that show because they can make some money. Everybody wants to monetize their audience, so that's a really big one. And then when you do get interviewed, try and give as much value as you possibly can. The more value that you give in this world, the more value you will receive, right? The people that have scarcity mindset or that are afraid to give away too much information, you need to lose that and you need to get back on track with giving as much value as possible. Even if you give away all your freaking secrets on some podcasts, all that's going to happen is people are going to listen. They're going to find you. They're going to find you very valuable, and they're going to want to follow you more. We're kind of simple humans. We do like two things. We either are we see people and we're like, okay, this guy can help me survive, or this person's a waste of my time. And if you can help people survive or thrive or enjoy their life a little bit better, they're going to be more likely to come with you and to follow you. So give as much value as possible. Make sure you try and sound like you know what you're talking about. There's a couple different kinds of podcasts you can go on. You can go on entertainment podcast. You can go on education podcast. And then you can go on, conspiracy podcasts or just talking about nonsense and stuff podcasts, like whatever you really want to do. More power to you. But I think that's about it. So know your audience, know your story, know your call to action. Like those are the biggest things that I would do. And make sure like halfway through, like the best way to do content is give tons of value, give them a call to action, make them know what they need to do. So make sure like your URL is something super simple. Right now my business is The Growth Consultant. So you go to thegrowthconsultant.com and you're going to basically see everything I'm doing. You can join the business accelerator where I'll teach you how to make a lot of money pretty quick. And then, basically you can go on. So when I go on these podcasts, first of all, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to tell people the key points of why they should listen to me. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I've made multiple, 6-7 figures selling in marketing and sales for different businesses. I'll teach you how to become rich. I tell people all about my stuff. And then in the middle there, I tell them what I want them to do. Go to thegrowthconsultant.com. Check out what we got going on. Join the business accelerator where we'll unlock some profits for you. And then I give more value. And then I drop the bomb. But it's, hook them in, get the call to action, and then basically give them more value and then have them a good day. So if you don't have a clear funnel, then tell them to reach out to you on whatever your social media platform is most important to you. I like to grow my YouTube channel. I like to grow my podcast, my TikTok, my Instagram. But I'm probably more active on Facebook. So you can hit me up on Facebook and send me a message and we'll become buddies. All right. But I think that was today's show, talking about how to get interviewed on podcasts. I'm glad, man. I'm glad you started a business. Hell yeah, Scott. We should catch up sometime, man. But I think that's it. Unless I see more comments or something going on, we'll be coming in. So I'm still doing 10 ways to inject cash into your business. So this is, I think, number 5. I think the next ones I'm going to be talking about, we got JV marketing, we got TikTok hacks, we got press releases, we've got, what else do we have? I think that's about, oh yeah, Instagram shout outs. And then we're going to be going into some other topics, but that's 10 ways to inject cash. If you want to see the previous videos, go to my YouTube channel. It's pretty much where they're at right now. And just check it out. So it's Robert R. Lyon, The Lion Show. And that's today's episode. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Peace out.